In July of 1991, a 52-year-old woman from Ontario named Ibi Roncaioli walked into Canadian lottery history when she won an astonishing $5 million Lotto 649 jackpot. To the outside world, it looked like the beginning of a dream life: a wealthy, middle-aged woman with a comfortable home, a respected doctor husband, and the kind of financial freedom that most people never experience. But behind the scenes, her win would ignite a chain of secrets, resentment, betrayal, and ultimately murder. This is the tragic true story of how one of Canada's biggest early lottery winners ended up dead at the hands of her own husband, poisoned because of what she did with her newfound fortune. When Ibi first won, she reacted the way many lottery winners do, with shock, excitement, and a sense that life had finally given her a second chance. She had grown up in Hungary and immigrated to Canada years earlier, where she struggled through a difficult marriage filled with emotional distance and financial tension. Her husband, Dr. Joseph Roncaioli, was a respected gynecologist who earned a high income, but their home life was far from stable. Ibi had battled alcoholism, depression, and strained relationships with her children. So for Ibi, the lottery win felt like personal freedom, perhaps for the first time in her life. She felt empowered, independent, and capable of helping people she cared about. But this newfound independence created its own storm. The first sign of trouble began when Ibi gave away a large portion of her winnings without her husband's knowledge or approval. Joseph believed he should have control over the money. After all, he was the financial provider, the one who managed their accounts, investments, and lifestyle. But Ibi didn't share that belief. She wanted to use the money her way. Reports later revealed that Ibi quietly distributed more than $2 million of her winnings to people outside her household. The largest amount, approximately $2 million, was given to her son from a previous relationship. She also gifted money to friends, relatives, and people she felt needed help. Some accounts say she gave money to individuals she supported emotionally, including one woman she referred to as a friend whom Joseph reportedly disliked. But the biggest issue wasn't who she gave the money to, it was that she did it secretly, leaving her husband completely unaware. When Joseph eventually discovered that millions were gone, he became furious. In his eyes, his wife had thrown away their financial security. He believed she had betrayed him, disrespected him, and squandered a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The resentment began to grow quietly, but intensely. Over the next several years, the marriage deteriorated even further. Sources close to the family described their relationship as cold and distant, filled with arguments, accusations, and mistrust. Joseph's medical career was also faltering. He faced lawsuits and financial troubles, while Ibi's mental health continued to decline. Their home in Woodbridge, Ontario became a place of tension rather than comfort. Despite their problems, Ibi kept giving money to people she cared about. She believed the money was hers to share and that she didn't owe anyone an explanation. But Joseph saw it differently. He saw her actions as reckless and humiliating. By the early 2000s, nearly all of the $5 million jackpot was gone. Then, on July 11, 2003, everything changed. That night, Ibi collapsed in her home and later died at York Central Hospital. At first, her death seemed sudden but not suspicious. The initial assumption was that she died from natural causes or complications related to her long-term alcohol use. But something about the case didn't sit right with investigators, or with the coroner who examined her body. The autopsy revealed a fatal level of lidocaine in her bloodstream. Lidocaine is a local anesthetic commonly used in medical procedures, and it should never appear in lethal concentrations in a person without a controlled medical situation. This discovery raised a chilling possibility: someone had intentionally poisoned Ibi. Joseph, as a doctor with direct access to medical supplies, and as the person who lived alone with her, quickly became the primary suspect. As the investigation unfolded, more disturbing details came to light. Joseph had been the one who gave Ibi an injection shortly before she collapsed. He claimed it was part of a vitamin treatment he routinely administered to her, but this explanation didn't match the toxicology findings. Prosecutors later argued that Joseph deliberately injected his wife with a fatal dose of lidocaine, believing that no one would question his medical actions or suspect foul play. But the question remained, why would a husband murder his wife? The motive became clearer as financial records and personal testimony emerged during the trial. Joseph believed that Ibi had squandered their entire fortune. He resented that she had secretly given away millions, particularly the $2 million she gave to her son. He reportedly felt embarrassed, angry, and financially trapped. In one of the most memorable and chilling statements from the trial, Joseph's own lawyer explained the motive in blunt terms. When asked why Joseph was angry about the money being gone, the lawyer said, "He killed her because she pissed away $5 million. Those words echoed through the courtroom and became the defining quote of the entire case. Joseph insisted he was innocent, claiming that the lidocaine entered Ibi's body accidentally or through medical error. But the jury didn't believe him. In December 2008, 5 years after Ibi's death, Joseph Roncaioli was found guilty of manslaughter. The judge ruled that while he may not have intended to kill her with premeditated murder, he had administered the lethal dose and was responsible for her death. He was sentenced to 7 years in prison. Even after the conviction, Joseph showed little remorse. He maintained that he loved his wife and never meant to harm her. But the evidence, the financial motive, and the toxicology all pointed to deliberate action. The tragedy struck many Canadians deeply, especially because it highlighted a disturbing pattern seen in many lottery winner stories. Sudden wealth often magnifies the worst parts of a person's relationships. For Ibi, her newfound independence clashed with her husband's desire for control. The money didn't create their marriage problems, it simply exposed them. After her death, the rest of Ibi's estate, including the small portion of lottery winnings that remained, was tied up in legal battles. Her sons fought for control of her assets while Joseph attempted, unsuccessfully, to claim support from her estate despite being convicted in her death. The combination of financial betrayal, marital resentment, and a horrific act of violence created one of the most shocking lottery-related tragedies in Canadian history. What makes Ibi's story especially heartbreaking is that she used her lottery winnings for what she believed was good, helping children, helping friends, supporting people she cared about, and trying to buy peace for herself. She wasn't reckless in her own mind, she was generous. She wanted to make a difference in people's lives. But her kindness triggered rage in the man who was supposed to protect her. When examining her life, many experts argue that the lottery win didn't ruin Ibi, it simply magnified the dysfunction already present in her marriage. The money didn't kill her. The resentment did. Looking back, there are several lessons her story leaves behind. First, sudden wealth doesn't fix emotional problems. If anything, it amplifies them. Second, open communication about money, even uncomfortable conversations, can be the difference between peace and destruction. And third, when a relationship is built on control rather than partnership, a financial shift can spark dangerous consequences. Ibi Roncaioli's life came full circle in a tragic way. She immigrated to Canada seeking freedom and a better future. She got her moment of happiness when she won the lottery. But in the end, the person she trusted the most took everything from her, her money, her dreams, and her life. Her story continues to serve as a haunting reminder that a lottery jackpot can change your life, but it can also expose the fractures that were always there. And for Ibi, the ultimate price was far greater than $5 million, it was her life. While most people dream of winning the lottery, stories like hers reveal the darker side of sudden wealth. Money can bring out generosity, hope, and new opportunity. But it can also bring out greed, control, jealousy, and violence. Today, the name Ibi Roncaioli is remembered not for being a lucky winner, but for becoming a tragic victim whose kindness cost her everything. Her story remains one of Canada's most disturbing examples of how fortune can turn into misfortune, and how a single decision, made out of generosity, can spark a deadly chain reaction. And so the lesson remains clear: money changes people, but not always for the better. For Ibi, the jackpot she once celebrated became the catalyst for her downfall. And her death stands as a sobering reminder that the greatest danger isn't the money, it's the secrets, the resentment, and the unchecked emotions that can come with it. And for viewers of true lottery stories, her case is one of the most powerful examples of how fortune can turn into tragedy in the blink of an eye. If you enjoyed this story and want more true tales of jackpot happiness, heartbreak, and everything in between, make sure to subscribe to True Lottery Stories, where the real winners' journeys are revealed, one story at a time.